Hi everybody, welcome to Hashrocket's book club. We are doing chapter 5 of 7 Languages in 7 Weeks today, which is on the language Scala by Martin Odersky, I believe. For those of you that don't know, Scala is a strongly statically typed hybrid object-oriented functional programming language that runs on the Java virtual machine.
Or JVM.
As some might call it. Thanks, Dan. And that's kind of cool because it allows for interoperability with all pre-existing Java libraries. And it does take notes, although not completely. It takes notes in its syntax from Java 2, so switching between the two doesn't have that much cognitive dissonance. But it's a nice way for Java developers to get their feet wet with a decent programming language. It's also kind of a cool language on its own merit as well. And he makes the analogy of Scala being like Edward from Edward Scissorhands because it has scissors for hands. No, it doesn't have scissors for hands. It's because it's an awkward, freakish beast.
But in a good way.
But in a good way, sort of. Sometimes. It has its pros and cons. And that's the microphone. Alright. Yeah. Scala. Yada yada. All the stuff you heard already. Blah, blah, blah. Interview with Martin Odersky, creator of Scala. He created it because he wanted a language that he felt comfortable writing programs in. So what better way than to write your own? And other reasons, I guess, but... one example of a company that's larger that's using Scala is Twitter. They switched all their Ruby architecture over to Twitter, or to Scala, so that's cool. And because this is the first functional language we've covered in the book, just a brief introduction to functional languages for those unfamiliar. Typically, a functional language will be based around functions. It may or may not have a notion of objects, although typically an object system is fairly easy to graft onto a functional language. Things in functional languages tend to be immutable in that you cannot modify their state after they've been not instantiated, declared, I guess. And it typically deals a lot with higher order functions, such as, which is any function that takes or returns a function. So a good example would be your enumerable methods in Ruby. Yes. But Scala is not a pure functional language. It allows for side effects, it allows for mutation of state, it has a pretty strong object system, all that stuff. One of the big benefits of functional programming is it's easily proven correct on a proof type level, and also it aids in concurrency because you don't have issues where two things will try to modify an object in memory at the same time, because they can't. And when you do, you typically isolate the side effects to one spot where it'd be easier to debug them. So yeah, that was our intro to Scala. Scala has types, like most languages. Scala makes them a large part of the language, though. You'll see whenever you evaluate an expression, you'll get its type back as well as the result. Is this big enough? Should I make it bigger?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, awesome. And as you can see here, that these are actual objects. They aren't just primitives, like in the Java language, so you can call methods on them. And you also see here that all your operators are just methods as well, so you can override their definitions, which makes Scala adept at DSLs, much in the way Ruby is. And it can do type coercion as well, if it knows how to, such as adding a string to an integer.
Talk to me about expressions and conditions.
They're the same as they are in most every language. Greater than equal to, less than equal to, not equal to. All very exciting stuff. And they return a Boolean, true or false. Oh, also worth noting, nils and zeros are, neither of them can be evaluated as Booleans. So if you're used to short-circuiting things with nil, you gotta work around that, which kind of troubled me a bit. That's just because I'm a ghetto hack or something. Yada yada yada. Yeah, and this demonstrates that it's expecting a type of Boolean, but you're giving it a nil, so it just throws a compile error. It's got loops.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a little diatribe here from Bruce about how he is conflicted over static typing due to his time in Java land, but he's starting to feel better about it due to his time in Haskell land. I kind of have similar feelings about static typing, although I don't have the Java background. It can be done really well, and it can be done really poorly. It's a while loop. It's very exciting. Because it's a functional language and has those higher order constructs for working with lists, you typically will not be using many while or for loops. Much the same with Ruby or any language that has those constructs. Although there is a time and case, time and place. Both of those.
Wait, go
Is
back
there
to
a case?
There is. They
Go
use
back
case
to-
for pattern matching.
Go back
Alright.
to that while loop. Can you
It's like a while loop in any language.
know the definition of it at that? So you don't pass anything, you just call it and it just runs that. That's it. It just prints the.
The while loop starts here.
No.
That's just
The
him
me- the me-
defining a method. That,
Yeah, named while loop.
Right.
For no reason. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. I think just to be a jerk, I assume.
Why? Because you're not allowed to have variables inside of a.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can.
know. You can. Alright,
Uh-huh.
never mind.
Or just because he runs it right there.
He's just being a silly guy. Maybe he just wanted to give a demonstration of function definition as well.
Well, that way you can bring us back with def for loop down here.
Yes. For loop.
That's a little different.
Notice how it says, but slightly different.
Yes.
Tim, tell us about this for loop, how and why it excites you.
Excites is a strong word, but there's a.
Isn't there an until loop in C?
I don't know what the hell less than minus means.
That's just saying.
It's
Subtract-
assignment. It's like a
Yes.
backwards arrow. Look, everyone. That arrow points backwards. That zero, shove it in that eye.
Yes.
I don't.
And then I guess that same eye is used in the until clause. Until, is there an applied equals there? I take it.
I would assume so.
Alright, mind blown.
There we go. For loops, mind blowing in Scala.
Yes.
Wait,
Scissors
go
are
back
all
up to it
jammed
again?
up.
So is it subtracting? What is it doing?
I don't think you're subtracting. I think it's just an arrow. Presumably it's incrementing, but I don't see where.
Yeah, I don't see
really-
where the incrementer is happening.
It just says followed by that.
Well, I
operator.
think pretend there's parentheses before the zero and after the arcset length. For I, and then zero until arcset length is like a range of numbers. It's saying put each of them in there serially.
Oh, okay. We're just missing parentheses there. That makes sense.
How does it know to go up by one?
Well, because I think zero until arcset length implies. How does a range know? I think it's just like a range in Ruby.
Yeah.
We'll cover ranges shortly, which are similar to ranges. not seen Martin mention being inspired by Ruby, but there are certainly a lot of Ruby-ish things in Scala, and it did come after Ruby.
It's got that def word.
Yep, it's got that def word.
That's
For each basically behaves like each does in Ruby. It takes a block, or an anonymous function, in this case. Same thing. Except they're semantics.
Does the Hashrocket indicate an anonymous function?
Yes.
Wow.
The-
So it's no longer called a Hashrocket.
It's called an anonymous rocket.
I think that's a dating site. But yeah, so this will just iterate over the arguments and assign it to arg temporarily, and then it'll print it out. An anonymous function that takes an argument and prints that argument. This guy. Also,
What are those things that look like mustaches?
I don't know. Cameron, can you explain those to us?
no, too complicated for this. We'll get it next.
Bring what's his name? He's got one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, we're letting you in on our jokes.
Kind of.
We got a guy that grows a mustache very fast.
It
We call him,
sounds less exciting when you say it like that.
we call him the mustache mayor, I think.
I don't know. I've been calling him random Hispanic names. It's been working out pretty well.
Once again, we're racist again. Again.
His last name is Ariza. He is. Never mind.
He is Hispanic.
His dad's name is like Jose. It's not racist. It's just accurate.
This is appropriate.
You say it's not racist, it's just ethnic.
Accurate.
Oh.
It's not racist if it's true.
So yeah, there's that.
There's a range!
Ah!
So the until keyword just makes a range.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it seems to be the dot of the Scala kingdom.
Oh, there's the step.
There's
Here's
also,
the step.
There's also
That's
two
ridiculous. Though.
by 5.
why is that ridiculous?
That until implies that you're doing some sort of a loop that is doing.
It
something
does
that's
make me
doing
think of
something else.
looping, but is that just our own preconceived notions that we bring
Yes,
from our
probably.
other languages?
Probably, yeah.
Wow. That's
So could you say
insightful.
0 until 10 by 5?
What? No, you can say, well, I don't know. Why do they switch to 2 down here?
Because I like two.
Because until doesn't include it, and 2 includes it.
Oh, it's like double versus triple dot.
Oh god.
Oh, I get it.
So 2 includes it, and until,
Goes until it.
but excludes it. I don't know.
I don't know about any of that. That's
Have you,
Oh, there you go. 0 until 10 by 5.
Yeah,
So-
and this is what Tim was saying about it.
Right, including it or not, but that's what I was saying, that whether you can do that or not, that line below what you just highlighted.
Oh, wait, of course you can.
Yes. Ooh, 10 until 0 by -1. Nice.
But if you,
We can't
if you
do
don't do
that.
that, it won't infer it. So you have
it's
to
a
be
very
explicit about
robust range maker.
yeah, we can't do any of that shit in
No.
Ruby.
that. And it actually runs at faster than a snail's pace.
Snail?
Slug.
There's some snails that are pretty fast.
Sequel on snails.
Called turbo snails.
Oh, you can do it with character sequences too, apparently.
And that just does the ASCII representation of that?
Or
It's a character.
I
It's a
think
list
I
of
can
characters.
guess from, well, that's just characters, yes. It's the whole single quote, double quote weirdness. I guess it's not that weird. I'm just bringing my own preconceived notions.
I get it. I see what he's saying. What Tim's saying.
Yeah, so double quotes are a string, single quotes are a character.
I got it.
Ruby uses a question mark for a character.
It does.
Ruby 1.9 converts it to a string when you do
I
that.
was wondering how you get a character literal in Ruby. Man, now I'll be
It
able
was
to
an
sleep
integer in
tonight.
1.8 and a string in 1.9 to match up with the other APIs, which used to return integers and now return strings for Unicode.
So _1 is like the square bracket notation? Or am I reading that wrong?
yeah.
It looks similar, except it's 1 index rather than 0 index. What about your animals?
It's tuples are
Yes,
one index
yeah.
for some reason, but lists and sequences and arrays are not.
Awesome.
What do you think?
Wow.
I
Tuples.
don't. I guess I don't think in the right way, but I had a hard time finding a use case for tuples. So aren't they just like an
Think of
immutable
like the,
T-sequence list?
I think of them for being things like in Rails when you do a select helper and you need to give them an array of arrays and each array is just 2 elements. I think of that as being the inner one as being that's what you'd use a tuple for.
Right, but
Or something where it's got a very fixed,
what advantage
simple
does it give you
interface.
other than constraining you to that type? I guess that's the advantage there. It won't let you do stupid stuff.
Strongly typed, man. These things love discipline. These people who love these things love discipline. Ergo, these things love discipline.
Wow, the logic compounds.
And if you want to do multi-value assignment, you would use a tuple.
Oh, good. That just looks like a thing that I would. I don't know.
I do that kind of stuff in Ruby.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Particularly if this returns a tuple, it's basically a way to have multiple return
You can
values.
do multi-value assignments in Ruby like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
In fact, you
exactly like
leave
that.
off the parentheses.
In the val, and then you're done.
And there's also even crazier things you can do with the splat. You put the splat in the middle and you can take some off and the rest go into another array.
Which in Prolog is.
You can have a function that returns array, you can splat it out and save it into multiple variables.
Gross.
It looked just like the range thing where it does everything.
Mr. JavaScript's going to call something gross.
See, in this case, you
Oh,
can't
I'm sorry.
do a
I
split.
don't mean that.
It errors out.
It does not appear to be a splat syntax, or at least it's not covered.
Or a head-tail thing.
I think in terms of a tuple, you really wouldn't want a splat. The whole idea is you've got a very fixed set.
Which is very different from what we saw last week in Prolog, the head and tail thing. It was similar.
You have head and tail in Scala as well.
Right. So I guess when we could.
Or Haskell or other languages.
Yes.
Yep. I think it comes from ML originally. I could be wrong about that. Classes! Yay! This is how you make a constructor. A basic one.
I see.
You just put the attributes in line with the class.
So you have to declare it first like that, and then the implementation.
Well, that's just for attributes. It's not for methods. So it's not like an interface like in...
I'm thinking back to C++, but maybe I'm confusing like languages.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not C++.
That's not in this book. We're going to be covering that in 7 old programming languages. We cover Prolog again there, by the way.
Wait, what?
Nothing. I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, because none.
Doesn't exist.
All right,
Go
question
down.
on.
Classes.
So to instantiate a new person, you will call new person,
This should look very familiar, Cameron.
and then you pass in the attributes. And as you see, you declare their types when you.
They got an R. They got an L instead of an R there. But other than that,
Oh, it's virtually identical, yeah.
Let's try a more complex class now with some behavior and state.
never eat shredded wheat.
What?
Never eat shredded wheat. That's how you remember your directions. They put them in the same order, so I know that's how he learned them too.
Never eat shredded wheat.
Do you ever think maybe it's just clockwise?
You
Well,
ever just,
yeah.
You ever just remember them because there's only 4?
It's much easier to remember 4 words than 4 letters.
That's how you remember the order when you're in grade school and you have a map. You go, never eat shredded wheat.
What if you like shredded wheat? How will you learn?
I don't know. I think that's probably pretty bad because kids are going to go home and eat their sugary cereals instead. That's why America's fat.
So,
Because of our directions.
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't read the chapter. I'm just observing. But this class,
End of it said it's fine.
I'm just gonna admit it. So are these functions then available outside of the class? How does it work?
No.
Keep talking.
They're available to instances of the class.
These are all private.
Well, no. They can be called, like,
Well, you
On
go
the
for an
instance.
instance.
but they don't have to be called from within the instance.
So by saying val,
If you prefix it with private, it will make it private.
so what's the difference between val and var? Inside?
I'm glad you asked that, Ro.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference is?
Instance versus class?
No.
I think var doesn't exist in Scala.
Whoa,
Well,
he's
we're in
throwing
Scala, Tim.
Where's var? I don't see var. Oh, I didn't look.
Maybe a typo. How's that?
No.
I was
That's a
gonna
trick
say that's
question.
unlikely.
So how about this? Var is a variable and val is a value. One is mutable and the other is not.
Constant.
Wait, oh, really?
So val is a constant.
So you,
Oh shit!
We have a go on, dear reader, watcher, viewer.
Deskalov. Was pattern matching not covered before tuples and multiple assignment?
We
Pattern
haven't.
matching was not covered yet. No.
No. You can talk to Bruce about that.
Pattern matching, I don't believe was covered until the third day. I could be wrong. It might be at the latter half of the second day. But good question.
Deskalov.
But yeah, so values are immutable, variables are mutable.
Okay.
So typically you'll prefer values if at all possible. But you'll see he updates the state of bearing down here with the turn right and turn left, which is why it's a variable, and direction's just a fixed list.
I don't know what you just said here, but I've got another comment. No, val is also a variable. It's just immutable.
It does not vary. Ergo, it is not a variable. Thank you very much. I'm addressing the camera. But type it just to be sure. Deskalov's a little slow. We had him here. Anyone remember Daskalov?
We all remember that stuff. Carry on.
I'm in Canada.
So bearing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
So bearing is changed yonder.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep, so it does that. The method definition, we should probably cover this, it's kind of important. If you're doing a single line method, you can just do equals, and then the thing after it.
Ooh.
Um,
Wait.
why is he doing that? Is that like just one method and another method on top of it?
Because it looks up in that list where bearing is.
So it returns. It's just like a associative array. Only it's a list.
Associative array.
Yeah.
No, yes, that is what an associative array is.
So it's like an
This is
array.
just an
So
array.
it's like an array. Go on.
It has an array class too, though.
Keep going. So the direction just returns whatever you
Yeah, whatever the direction
You're
is for
setting
that
it
bearing. It just
0.
looks up by the index.
0, 1. And it's a 0 based.
Yes.
Oh, so you had to go clockwise.
Okay,
Let's see
so
from the
these are
implementation
public.
now.
These are public methods.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, so you can do that, and it does that. Oh yeah, and then for, if you have like a parameter, you'll have to declare a type on it. Usually it can infer the return type. Sometimes it can't. But yeah, so that's how you do type with your method arguments.
And the percent is modulo? Or
Yes.
what?
Yada yada. Yada yada. Yada yada. Auxiliary constructors. So this is if you like your initialize if you want a more complex constructor. Yeah. And I believe it has to include all the outer constructors as well.
So
What
is this
happening?
like
Inside his constructor,
initialize?
he's defining a constructor is what it looks like.
But inside the class, he's defining a constructor. This is like basically like initialize in Ruby.
like initialize, and then this is just like calling super? Or
This is the object.
There's no inheritance. So what's
There's
that?
inheritance.
Yeah, no, but in this
Not right now.
particular, not in that example. But what? Why is he? Is it
Calling
recursive?
it's calling the master constructor.
I don't know.
Wait, right now he's
Maybe Daskalov now.
He's trashing that last name. Like that's not.
Yes, he is not saving it anywhere. He
Yeah.
it's just a convenience. You can pass
I
it.
think it's just a contrived example.
Yeah, that's a very contrived example.
Inner constructor. See, the inner constructor. That's what the second is.
That's all there is to it.
Okay, so it instantiates it first with the primary constructor and then with the auxiliary constructor.
Oh.
But that's that is all there is to
Other
it. I was
constructor.
gonna say that's not all, but that is all.
So really, that's all.
It would have been better if you gave an example that made sense.
Well, no, yeah, he's just. But so he calls both the constructors.
Yes.
You've got.
The outer constructor is always called.
I really would have liked a real use case example of that.
Initialize. Ruby.
You know?
Well,
If you want something other than just a strict, like, hey, I'm inputting a string and then persisting that string. If you're like, hey, I want to upcase it before I shove it in an instance variable.
Okay.
Basically be like that. But his example was kind of ooh, and now, class methods. They're actually defined on companion objects. There is no such thing as a class method. So, object true ring def rule is basically a class method on true ring, but you can still have a true ring class as well.
It's funny because it's a Harry Potter reference.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good.
I don't get it.
It's a Lord of the Rings reference. I was making a joke.
Oh, okay. I would have gotten if I understood you were making a joke.
Do we have a
I
whiteboard?
would have got your joke if I knew it was a joke.
Let's get the whiteboard.
Ouch.
Go on.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. Like, any method defined inside of class is a class method, and any method defined on a companion object is or the other way around,
Yeah.
instance method is, yes, this.
Because you can't mix it like you do in Ruby. Mix class.
So that's sort of neat.
Wait, so true ring, then if I wanted to do instance methods, then I would say class true ring, and then inside of it, define those methods.
But either can exist independent of the other. So you don't need to have a class implementation just because you have a...
Can you have an object and class with the same name? And
Yes.
It's just, they're just defining the method. Oh, so you're just wrapping them in the same methods in a different container depending on whether they're an instance.
or class. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That's kind of wonky.
Sort of wonky, sort of neat. I don't know if he gave a reason for why you do that. Other than that's just how they've chosen to do it. I'm sure they had a good reason though. It's probably in a paper he read. And he's like, yeah!
It's
Oh man, that paragraph just answered the exact question I just asked. I could have read it.
It's funny how book club is like that. When you read the
Funny.
book,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to discuss the
I'm
book.
good at the club part of book club.
yeah.
Grab a beer, Cameron.
Inheritance.
No.
Cool.
Inheritance, yeah. Inheritance is evil.
Looks like Java for real. I get it.
It takes cues from Java, which is probably going to be good for its adaptation. I mean, you're trying to get... I mean, I think your core audience with Scala is Java developers. For better or worse.
Is it? I mean, I don't know anything about it. Is it broken down off of Java? Because earlier
It
there
runs
was
on the
like-
JVM.
JVM.
Or Java Virtual Machine.
And it can reach out to Java classes and like
Oh,
call
okay.
methods on them. I think it can even like inherit from Java classes and
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
All the underlying primitives are Java. And
See, it's like Edward Scissorhands.
Okay.
it's like scissors for hands.
Yes.
That's how you do inheritance. You extend from it, and you have to. I believe you have to include all the original.
The signature.
Whether you're overriding them or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh.
Oh, also he didn't point this out earlier, but if you do val,
So
while you're
value.
declaring the type, you can make it an immutable attribute, which is probably what you'd prefer to do most of the time.
Oh, so it's not by
It
it's
defaults
by
to
value, not by reference.
there.
And I think this needs to go in errata because the thing he said doesn't make sense. Or wait, he just didn't give a return value. He's like, look, you can call this method, and it'll do something.
Funny because it's a quote by Gandalf.
You joker.
You're still on that.
You shall not pass.
Traits.
This value.
So, now that we're past
actually-
stupid inheritance,
Yeah.
traits are basically like mixins in Ruby. You can define a trait like so, and
Whoa, whoa.
then you can extend any class with that trait.
With nice. Very nice.
I'm not sure how it behaves differently on class versus instance, but I imagine it would behave in the way you would expect it to.
So what's the point of a trait again?
You remember mixins in Ruby?
Oh, I remember that.
It's like that.
From back in Ruby.
Yep, that's the point. If you have shared behavior and you want to use composition instead of inheritance, you would use traits.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
sweet.
looks to me like it's for compatibility with Java interfaces. I'm just saying. They even use the word extends.
Why you always gotta hate on everything, Tim? It's much better than saying extend. Anyway. But yeah, so when you extend character with nice, it'll get the methods defined on nice. Derp, derp, derp.
Hey, we're not even past day 1. We got.
Are we gonna try to cover the whole thing today?
No, I'm just saying.
It's kind of a lot to grok. We're still on the OO stuff. We haven't even got to the functional stuff.
That's why it was so familiar.
What we learned in day 1. Some stuff. Day 1 self-study. I thought this was a pretty complex challenge for day 1. Considering usually he's like, upcase a string. But here he's like, write a thing that can take a tic-tac-toe board and tell if it's completed or not, and who the winner is. And you don't really have much of the API.
Bonus problem, let 2 players play tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, I didn't do the bonus problem. But I did do.
Let's see it, let's see it, let's see it!
So, all you Scala experts out there can critique me on my style. But this.
Solver.
A list of characters is what I take that to mean.
Yes, it takes an input that's a list of characters. Waka waka. Here, I'll run it real quick just to show you how sweet it is.
So, input, X, O, X.
And I'll show you what the input looks like. The JVM is known for its blazing startup speed.
But once it starts, though.
Error not found, value nothing.
Oh, damn it. That's why you don't change things before demoing them. So, let's change that to...
Is nothing the keyword? Awesome.
It's not.
He wanted it to be, but it's not.
But I was reading the
This
docs
isn't
and they're
TV.
talking about nothing. Like it's a thing, and then I go to use it and they're like, nah, just kidding. Nothing ain't no thing.
It's like Seinfeld.
Yes! Haha!
Oh, is it generate random boards or something?
No.
Oh.
This is my test suite down here.
Uh,
So this is a vertical win. because-
what about when nobody wins? I don't see you testing the nobody wins case.
Yeah.
Fine.
You got fair stalemate.
There's a word for it.
Still.
There's
We can borrow
Is there
words
a-
from chess.
What's the word?
Oh wait,
Is it, make sure that you have the right number. What's
That
the word
wins.
for
O wins.
there.
there is a
That's
word
not a
for
stalemate though. There's no space left. The game is not over.
Oh, whatever.
Just-
It's not supposed to.
Put an O in the first one. First one on 0, 0. Put an O in 0, 0.
You mean an A1?
I'm sorry. Put an O in A1. And then put an X in A3. And boom goes the dynamite. Nobody wins. You'll thank me later.
Except there's no O's and X's now. That's not allowed. X always goes first.
Jesus Christ! Drop it.
Well, just reverse it.
That one was Rose's fault.
All of my faults. Still no winner.
There, now my test suite is complete.
Wait. Oh, I get it.
But yeah, so to figure out our winners, we look for either a vertical win, horizontal win, or diagonal win.
Is that big enough?
And then for vertical win, we look to see if column has any existing things in it that are winning. Oh, and by the way, this is really awesome. In things that take a function, instead of doing like that, you can just do skid, which is an implicit
Function.
single argument.
Okay. Cool. What about when you get all 4 corners?
What?
Just-
No one thought the implicit variable was cool? That's like my favorite part of Scala.
Oh,
I
nice.
had a joke queued up.
Cute diagonal win thing. That's nice.
Oh, yes. This is kind of gross. I'm welcoming suggestions. If anyone, why don't you guys read Twitter on your own time?
Because it's about this.
Why don't you guys read it aloud on our time? Once again, no letting you in on jokes. Or me, apparently.
No.
Probably not fun anyway.
Dasgraf still thinks he's right.
Oh. Okay,
I have
cool.
5 new mentions. Did he just keep going?
So, and then in my winning method, we check to see if the distinct size of that row, so after we've gotten rid of duplicates, is equal to 1, then that means they're all the same, which is kind of a maybe hacky way to do it, but it makes sense.
It's simple.
To me.
But the
And then
diagonal
we set, if there is a result, we set winner to the one that has 1, and then we return the result.
So you just hard coded.
What's the results? Just the results.
What did I hard code? What did I hard code, bro?
Line 16 and 17. Which is fine, but what I'm
Wait, what's wrong with that?
no, there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying, could you have hard coded that as a
This method.
outside instead of inside of that method?
But there's no reason to expose it outside that method. It's like private to that function, like a local variable.
All you have to do.
Valuable.
All you have to do to make this work with any size of tic-tac-toe board is just have those walk through and walk it down and make a list based on the length of the list that you gave it. So you only have to change like those 2 lines. And then,
I wasn't aware there were different sizes of tic-tac-toe boards.
dude, yeah.
Do you say dude? Yeah.
So I guess it's
Yeah.
variable size.
Well, whatever.
They call it Sudoku.
I had a tic-tac-toe game on my OS 7 like Performa 400 that was like the size of the screen, like 200 by 200 tic-tac-toe board. It was impossible to win.
I think it's
Head. One last. I think that's my favorite line in the whole thing. Yeah, good stuff.
so a grid is an actual type of that's just
Grid is the value that we've passed in.
oh that's the name of it. It's just a list of lists.
It's a list of characters. As you can tell by the type declaration. Listless car. Yeah, I struggled with the type system while doing this, and like these, I had they were returning unit instead of boolean, even though the return value evaluated to a boolean, and unit's basically like void. And so I had to coerce it into a boolean. But I don't understand because these both return boolean values, and like this returns a boolean value. So I don't see why I had to declare that type. I couldn't infer it.
So what was it before? Just that diagonal win. That's it.
What?
What was?
Yeah, it just it doesn't have that stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, it's not that much noisier, but it was kind of annoying because it should have been able to infer that when it returns a boolean, that it's returning a boolean. Angry fist. And at first, I thought it was just something I was doing stupidly, and then I realized it was something the language was doing stupidly. But all in all, I enjoyed my time with Scala.
Well, it's not over yet, right?
No.
Flipping the bushes and other new tricks. Like
Do we
Edward
wanna-
Scissorhands.
Do we want to do days 2 and 3 for next week?
What time do we usually cut off the club?
I say
7
do
days.
half a day too. It's easier than that way. You don't have too much next week. You don't have too much this week.
There's not, like, the bulk of the content, I feel, is in the first chapter, or first
Wow.
day.
Usually cut off at 1.
So it's
And it is in fact 12:53. So
4.
now it's 12:54.
It
It
is.
was 12:53.
That's how time
Well,
works.
I
It increments every minute.
It's step 1.
I guess we're gonna call it then because we can't figure out how time works.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Anyone want to tell us we're wrong about stuff?
Let's not ask aloud.
yes, he's all well. Variables don't vary in math either. This is math.
Although once we get to Haskell, that argument might stand.
Yes.
Next week we'll
Save it for Haskell, buddy.
next week we'll just
Keep going.
finish days
2 and 3.
Yeah, 3 is mostly talking about concurrency and stuff, so
Boring.
it's kind of like easy to skim over. Be like, yeah, concurrency is good when you need it,
Yeah. The end.
and Scala excels at it. Great.
Also Erlang.
Also, Erlang's going to be a fun chapter.
Cool. All right, cool guys. Thanks and goodbye.
Thank you.
See ya.